Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah HaKodash. The honors go out to our apostles, elders, of Great Millstone, who rule and teach well. Shalom, wa barakim to you brothers and sisters out there. Alright, this is the brother Malachi from the Great Millstone Nashville camp. And Lord, when that this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect. Right, now it's Monday, another week to do better, to be better, to strive for the kingdom, for the mastery. And I just figured I'd go ahead and start my morning off right. So I'm gonna do a lesson. I'm trying to knock the work out for today. And another reason I'm doing it, I'm stuck in traffic. It's pretty bad, so I figured I might as well make use of my time, man. And that's just something I definitely recommend too. You find yourself in a situation where you have downtime, things ain't going how you expect, and you just sitting around for a little bit waiting for something, you might as well go ahead and do a lesson, if you're able to, or, get some reading in, or put a video on, or, just make use of your time. Now it's not to say you're never just going to, be idle to a degree, like relax, or it's not to say you're never just going to be scrolling YouTube or whatever, but all I'm saying is when you have some time, and just occupy, go look at the news, see what's going on in Earth. Which of course now we're moving now, but I'm still gonna do this lesson. And so what was on my mind, what I wanted to basically talk about here is what manner of persons ought you to be, right? That's what Apostle Peter had said. What manner of persons ought you to be in all holy conversation and godliness, seeing that all these things are going to be dissolved. So what type of person should you be? And I was just listening to audiobook of Jeremiah, and it was going into the destruction of Babylon, the new Babylon, all right, talking about, the nuclear destruction that's coming. So we know all these things, like it said in Peter, we know that all of these things are going to be dissolved. All the elements are going to melt. Nuclear destruction is going to destroy America. That's biblical prophecy, all right? That's not, Sirach 3:24. I'm not being deceived by my own vain opinion, because there's no opinions. That's what the scriptures say. All right, that is biblical prophecy. And as we can very easily tell, the Bible is very real, and the prophecies are popping off the pages left and right. Right, like you see apostles and elders and brothers going into, we're in Jacob's trouble. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse from here. So what manner of persons ought you to be? What type of conduct, should you have about yourself? Are you being productive? Are you working on your mentality, your mindset? Are you working on your diet? Which we can all do better. I can definitely do better. I need to work on these things as well. It's not, I'm not just saying these to you. This is applying to me 100-fold. Right? But we need to continue to just work on being more patient. Forgive your brother. Let go of grudges and petty shit. Be charitable. All right, we need to make sure that we're praying. We need to make sure that we're getting our fasts in. We need to make sure we're doing the work. You got guys out there that are acting like prophecies ain't popping off. They just ain't doing no videos. They ain't going out to camp. They haven't fasted in 5 months. They didn't pray since last Thursday. What the hell's wrong with you, man? You must not actually believe this thing. Because Yahushua said to occupy till he comes. You got to be on fire. You got to be in the spirit. Right? There's no time to be messing around out here. The elect are being gathered via the word, like it says in Baruch, I think 4:37. The elect are being gathered by the word of the Holy One, which means pretty soon Revelation 7 is going to take place. The angels are going to let go of that destruction, and it's just going to be rampant in the earth. mean, we're talking about famines, we're talking about pestilence, we're talking about martial law checkpoints, the mandation of the CHIP, which is the MOTB. Or we're talking about mass depop, as part of the elite's agenda that they plan on carrying out soon here. We need to watch out for all of these things. We need to be sober-minded. We need to be observant, pay attention. Because like it says in Sirach 39:1, you're supposed to be occupied in prophecies. Because, I mean, what else are we supposed to do? We're waiting for the kingdom of heaven to be established through Yahweh Shai. Right? We're ready for Esau Edom, the so-called white man, starting with the elite banker families. We're ready for them to be taken out of power. So what else would we want to be doing? It's a beautiful thing seeing these prophecies, because it shows that we are that much closer. We are in the end days. Lord willing, we ain't got but a few years left, if that. Like, we're not talking about 20 years. We're not talking about 10 years. It doesn't even look like we're talking about 5. That's how close. We're getting that close. So now is definitely not the time to become feeble-minded. All right, now is definitely not the time to start slacking up on working on, bettering yourself. Really the opposite. As we continue to draw closer and closer to the end, we need to make sure that we're putting in more effort. Keep pushing, man. Keep trying, keep going. Because remember, many are called, but few are chosen. You're in this truth, but Yahweh Shai said, he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So you got to finish the race. You can't just start running and expect a medal. You got to get to that finish line. Which is, that's the hardest part. Like Apostle Bar was even saying, waiting. The wait. That's the hardest part about it, is waiting. Getting to the finish line. Especially because we don't know exactly when. We don't know exactly when that is. We know we're close, but we don't know if it's this year, next year, the year after. We don't know. We don't know what month. We don't know the day. Only the Heavenly Father knows. Not even Yahweh Shai knows when he's going to come back. So that's another part that makes it difficult, because we're being patient, but we don't know what day. Which is good, really, because when you think about it, not knowing the day, makes it to where you're always kind of on edge. You're always, more alert, paying attention, making sure you're on your P's and Q's, as because Jake. So if we knew it was going to be this month or this day, then people would bullshit up until that point. People would bullshit up until that point. And then ultimately, think with that, where's your faith? Your faith isn't being tried if you know exactly when the Lord is coming back. There's no patience and there's no faith in that. So we don't operate off of that, man. The biggest thing that we're waiting for right now, now obviously there's still a lot of prophecies that need to take place, but the biggest thing we're waiting for is the mandation of the MOTB. All right, the Revelation is the 13th chapter, right, which is talking about the RFID. And then over in Europe, it's called NFC. All right, microchip, implant. We went into the words, we went into the scriptures. It's very evident that that's what the MOTB is. And like it says in the book of Sirach, these things are plain unto the holy, but they're stumbling blocks unto the wicked. So not everybody's going to understand that. Not everybody's meant to understand that. They're not. That's the reality of that. They're not meant to understand it because they're not part of the elect. They weren't preordained. They weren't chosen from the beginning because, and that's a faith booster in itself. If we're of the elect, we're not going to fail. We can't. If you're part of the elect, you were chosen from the beginning to receive salvation, meaning you're going to finish the course. You're going to endure unto the end. Even if the end means being a martyr. Right? Because we do know, as it's happened in times past in history, it will happen again this time around. But, There's going to be less of it. It's not going to be like ancient Rome. All right, for the persecution of the Israelites, because the Lord is going to lift up his standard. Spiritual power is going to go out. All right, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. But we do understand that some of us will have to give our lives. Revelations 20:4, and that's just a part of the game. That's part, of what we signed up for. All right, we can't be mad at nobody. Shouldn't be mad at nobody. It's a part of it. I mean, look at the man that's ruling. Look at his mentality. Look at the things that he does. You think that he's really just gonna allow you to just walk off into the sunset without any scratch? He's gonna try to hurt you. He's going to, because his kingdom is on the way out, and this man knows that once he loses it, he's done. Like, he's never coming back. He's just gonna be through. He's going into captivity for hardcore for 1,000 years, and then he's gonna be taken off the face of the earth. So of course he's gonna be guns. He's gonna go out guns blazing. I mean, what do we expect? This is the final boss battle here that we're talking about. This is the climax of the movie. But we have the Lord, right? And like the Lord told us, he said, "My servant shall eat, my servant shall drink." So we're gonna be taken care of. All things considered. Yeah, Jake might be hungry, Jake might be thirsty, Jake might have to hide from martial law, be on the run, but regardless of any of that, you're not going to be destitute. You're going to be taken care of. All right, when you look up the word destitute, the definition, what it goes into is somebody basically not having the basic necessities for life. You have the basic necessities for life. You have clothes, you have a you'll have a place. Even in the time of Jacob's trouble, as pilgrims upon the earth, the Lord is going to allow you to have somewhere to sleep. It doesn't mean it's going to be a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. All right, it just means you're going to have a place to sleep, to lay your head down. You're going to have something to eat, you're going to have something to drink, you're going to have clothes. All right, and most importantly, you're going to have the Holy Spirit, which is going to comfort you in the times of trouble. All right, and then Isaiah 33:6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of God is his treasure. So we are going to be stabilized through the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that Yahweh B'Shem Shai has blessed upon us, and it's going to be especially utilized in that time. Being able to call on Yahweh B'Shem Shai alone in that time and pray to the Lord for deliverance, or pray to the Lord for food, or pray to the Lord for a strengthened mind. Most people can't do that. You understand? Most people cannot do that, man. They can't and they won't. So we need to express gratitude. Tawadi Yahweh B'Shem Shai. And also, I got this picture up here. Nick Saban, the 5 enemies of greatness. It's just something, to think upon. Number 1 says entitlement. You definitely don't want to be entitled. All right, because nothing is owed to us, man. Now, the Lord made a covenant, a promise with the nation of Israel that he's going to save them, but he didn't make a promise with you specifically, per se. So the Lord doesn't owe any of us anything. He doesn't owe nobody nothing, first of all. But what I'm saying is, he promised he wasn't going to cast off Jacob, and he's going to deliver the elect. That's his promise. The promise isn't, oh, well, I'm going to save Malachi. No, if I'm not part of the elect, then I'm not getting saved. So damn sure don't walk around entitled or proud, It says, second one is lack of discipline. Discipline is there's a lot more to discipline than just, going to the gym and, not, don't get me wrong, go to the gym. Go to the gym, try to get up, you got to be responsible with time. You got to get up, go for work, doing the laundry, you got to have discipline in daily life things, even hygiene thing. Everything takes discipline, but especially you got to have discipline with the spirit, right? You got to be able to put off your emotions. You got to be able to put aside family members. You got to be able, when you come into this truth, you got to put aside your whole life. That takes discipline, man, to deny yourself. That's the ultimate discipline right there, to deny yourself and to serve Yahweh B'Shem Shai. All right, verse 3, it says circumstances over vision. It says, well, let me actually read that one. It says, average performers let circumstances dictate their attitude and effort. Great performers stick to their vision no matter the conditions. Your standard doesn't change based on who you play, what the score is, or how you feel. If you want to be good, you really don't have a lot of choices because it takes what it takes. Yeah, that's actually very true. Just get it done. Don't be intimidated by challenges. Basically, because which I might have to read it again. I'm also trying to multitask here, but there's going to be a lot of challenges in this truth. Every day, every week, there's different things that's going to hit you from different directions, and you just got to be able to roll with the punches, man. You just got to be able to keep going. Just never give up, really. The Lord isn't expecting you to laugh and to smile and just don't quit. That's just keep trying. Don't let your sins weigh you down. All right, number 4, it says self-pity. The fastest way to lose is to feel sorry for yourself. Self-pity kills resilience and responsibility. Saban's teams were taught no excuses, no complaints, just the next play. Everybody's got to be responsible for their own self-determination. Yep, there you go. And number 5 is complacency. The moment you think you've arrived, you start to decline. So yeah, you should never get to a point where, okay, that was good enough. No, you can always do better. You can always do more. All right, but and especially with that, because you don't want to be that brother, man, that we get into Jacob's trouble full blown, and the famine of word hits, and you're like, damn, I wish I could have did more of this or did more of that. Now, we still might have thoughts like that, but you got to be able to say, look, Lord willing, Lord willing, Yahweh Shemel Shai accepts my sacrifices and my efforts, were like the Lord is pleased with my effort. I know I could have did more, but I did my best. You want to be able to say you did your best. You did what you could. See? So you need to always have that fire within you, that drive, to always reach that next level. But yeah, man, that was basically it. Lord, when this lesson was edifying, finally got out of that traffic, but at least we got the work done, and Lord willing, brothers and sisters, have a good week. Once again, it's another week to do better, to be better than last week, to be better than you were yesterday, and how about Shemel Sharat is out, we can do that. But yeah, Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. Before I close, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakha Kodash. Double honors go out to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Shalom, Barakim to you brothers and sisters out there. Shalom.